This is George Zacalius, and this is Sprint 7. So this week I managed to get my sprite system working in DX, as well as my current terrain system working in DX. So from this point on, I will just be working inside of my DX application. I'm no longer using Azul. So you have Stitch, you have Radical. They're sprites. They don't move at all. They stay centered in their screen. They use an orthographic camera for processing. I'm going to talk about that later. And yeah. And this is my DX terrain. Come on. There we go. Okay. God damn it. Okay. God. Okay. So that's my tank, and this is all in DX, nothing really new, okay. So I can start with the terrain stuff. All I really had to do was swap out how I'm getting my height map in Azul from how I'm getting my height map in DX, so it's just this stuff right here. Aside from that, just how I go about iterating through that height map. Instead of every 3 bytes, it's every 4 bytes. But aside from that, everything else is pretty much the same. I didn't really have to change a whole lot to get the terrain working. To get the sprite system working, I had to do a bit more stuff. I had to edit the camera. Well, what I have to do, first of all, is separate the perspective camera from the orthographic camera. Right now I'm just storing it in one camera class. They should be broken up into separate classes. So the only thing I really had to add to get an ortho camera working was create a new orthographic NDC matrix specifically for orthographic cameras. So I managed to find this from the old geometry notes, which takes the field of view, turns it into and then turns that into takes a cube representing the field of view and then turns that into the NDC cube. So yeah. So along with that, I also had to create a new model. It's just a vertical plane that I use to stick the actual images on to render them. So yeah, it's just a vertical plane. That's all it is. What else? Image. My image just stores the texture, which will be the image, and then a rectangle, which stores its position and its height and width for that given sprite. So yeah, and then I had to create a new game object for those things specifically. I'm pretty sure it's no different than the texture graphic objects from what I remember. So yeah. What else? And yeah, I think that's it for the sprite system. Too many systems now. So for my game stuff, I broke my enemies into, well, I have now my enemy base class, which I'll use for collisions and stuff, but all the enemies are going to derive from the base class enemy. So I have my standard enemies, which were the enemies I had for, I don't know, 10 weeks now, and now this week I added in a kamikaze enemy. It's a really simple, its behavior is really simple. It just targets the player and then moves towards that player. It was present inside of my demo during the train. So yeah, it just targets the player and then moves at them. When it hits the player, then it destroys itself. Um, so yeah, that's everything I have this week.